how would you like to achieve the first million? And today we have Michael Kelly with us, and he joins Monsi as at the pivotal moment in strategy execution and market expansion to drive the company growth and category leadership in autonomous mobility. Wow, that's amazing industry and big fan. So you're deeply involved in every part of organization shaping and sales strategy, leading fundraising efforts, driving marketing initiatives, and ensure seamless product execution. So before you build a career in finance and entrepreneurship and leading large and scale growth and high impact ventures. That's fantastic. So Michael, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend to entrepreneurs in order to go from 0 to 1 million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me, Harry. It's great to be here and excited to talk about this. I think for me, as somebody who's a category creator, right, you have to figure out how to differentiate yourself in a market and in a world that's really loud and easy to get lost, right? And so there's really kind of 5 steps to make that happen, right? So step 1, you got to name the game, right? You got to understand what you're doing, how you're solving the problem, and who you're solving that problem for. Right. And so you have to name the category, right? For example, smartphone is a category, right? Electric vehicles are a category, right? You have to name what that category is. Step 2 is you have to condition the market. You have to educate them on what that actually is. When everyone's walking around with a flip phone, what is a smartphone, right? They have to understand, what a solution actually would look like and what problem it is that you're solving for them. How do you make it real for them? Step 3 is you have to dominate the conversation, own the narrative. You actually have to set the rules. What are the rules for something to be considered a smartphone, right? And then step 4 is pull in competitors, right? A huge controversial move that Tesla made when they were trying to create the category of electric vehicles is they open sourced all their patents, right? Why did they do that? Because they realized that they weren't going to be able to grow unless the category was able to grow, right? So pulling in competitors and actually create the frame that everyone else adopts. And then the last one, step 5, is anchor yourself as the leader, right? You start scaling across verticals and geographies or whatever it is that you're doing for your category. Anchor yourself as a leader. You've already created yourself as the person that knows the problem that you're solving, for who you're solving it for, and what a solution should look like. So then it's time to deliver it.
Oh, Mike, creating a new category. I kind of been I have experience in a little bit of experience in this. Sometimes people come and tell you, look, I have this business idea. I have this idea. It's new. Nobody had done it before. So it sounds to me like a new category, but it's a huge risk because it's expensive. It takes a lot of money and time educating the client. I'm telling you because I opened once a restaurant in Brick Lane in London, and it was the first halal Spanish tapas food, yeah, ever open in the country. So it was the first in the category, and I opened it in Brick Lane. So Brick Lane in London is famous for all this spicy curry halal food, right? Because a lot of people from Bangladesh live there, and there I am in the middle of these several blocks, right, full of restaurants selling one specific type of food, and then I'm there with new category, and let me tell you that I lost 200,000 pounds. I managed to have this restaurant for 2 years, and I couldn't make it work. But guess what happened? As soon as I left, 50% of Brick Lane now is alternative food and halal. Actually, the person that replaced my one is a Chinese restaurant, also halal.
That's funny.
So I learned a big lesson in creating a new category. I didn't know that it's gonna be so expensive and acquiring the client, because exactly what you described, you have to educate the client, right? And I think that,
Yes.
like Tesla sharing the patents, right? They even saving a lot of money in educating the client, because now if another car company creates something like this, they're sharing the client education process, that I know for a fact because I've been there, that is
Mm-hmm.
expensive. So how you overcome this adversity, Michael, when you created a good categorical? Also, already building a business is tough. Already in tech is a high percentage of failing. Regardless, 1 out of 5 multimillionaires that we interview in this podcast, they're coming from tech. 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6. Yeah. So, but we know for a fact that tech is, it's a huge high rate of failure. That's why we start all this question about product market fit, because in tech to get the product market fit is, well, it's as complex as other categories, but it's a high rate of failure. Yet it's worse, Michael. What are you doing? You're doing the tech with all the risk, with all the headache and everything. And on top of that, in a new category, which is more expensive to educate that client. So, how you overcome that challenge?
No, that's a great question. I think you start small, right? I heard somebody say the riches are in the niches, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And so
wow.
I think part of it is you really have to understand the problem you're solving and who you are solving the problem for really, really, really definitively, right? And there's also categories inside of categories. So I'll give you one example, right? Um, let's say that there's a bunch of plastic water bottles, right, in the whole water industry, right? And you want to come out with one with glass, right? Well, if you start coming out and you initially start telling everybody that plastic's bad for you, that's not really a message that's going to immediately resonate with a lot of people, right? Over time, yes,
They've been
right?
educated for years and getting the thing from
Exactly. It
plastic,
takes
so it's
years
gonna
to
be
educate that,
difficult.
right? But if instead I start off by saying, look, your plastic water bottle, you want that for when you go play golf, right? But when you have guests over at your house, you want my glass water bottle sitting on your table because you want to look fancy, right? It's all about how you position it to who
Mm-hmm.
you're talking to, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you start with a smaller subset, a category within a category, right? And then over time, right, especially as you grow as a business and your capacity increases, you start expanding who
Oh,
you
that's a
solve
great
that
tip.
problem for.
That's a fantastic tip. I love it. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, if I knew this before jumping in
Yeah,
these crazy ideas, well, I have a lot of
I know.
I have few wins and a lot of disasters. Like
It's one of those things where you either win or you learn, right? But
yeah,
but at
yeah,
the end of the day,
yeah. I've been learning a lot.
being different. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I learned a lot. Yeah. But the thing is, just being different can capture somebody's attention, right? But what do you do with their attention at that point, right?
Hmm.
And that's a really, really difficult and important thing to do. And that's a challenge we all have as businesses at the end of the day. So it's not any different from being a category creator and not a category creator. The
Hmm.
difference is category creation is actually the science behind category creation
Hmm.
is deeply, deeply rooted in psychology and how people make decisions. So it's actually in some ways, a much better process to do it as long as you're following the science of category creation.
No, about the self-driving vehicles, this is a tough one because yesterday a car passed by next to me, and it was a Tesla, and it was a young girl. She was not driving the car. She was sitting at the driver's seat, and she was looking at her mobile phone. And the thing
Hmm.
was moving by itself. Uh, I'm kind of thinking, wow, she's brave, right?
Yeah.
And but on the other hand, I hear about a friend that the mom goes old and is old and she cannot drive anymore. And then I think again he bought a Tesla and said, "Look, I already test the thing and I sit my mom there and the thing drive by itself and she can go to whatever she wants, and it's brilliant. And I don't need to worry about anything. So the sector of the market is this type of technology product, usually at the young generation, but it have a second niche, second category hidden there, that is for the seniors. Maybe you are on the space, you know more categories than me. The people that want to buy the car and what for. The whole so how you find your niche? Okay, you have a new category now. How you penetrate that market and how you understand your client? What a 65 years old person have in common with a 19 years old, because they all need a self-driving car. So how you work this out?
Yeah, and so it kind of goes back to, who are you serving and what problem are you solving, right? At the end of the day. And when it comes to self-driving cars, there's a lot of components into this thing, right? First and foremost, we are not competing with Tesla. We're not competing with Waymo, right? We're actually creating an autonomous coordinated system for public transportation.
Oh,
Right? And
wow.
so that's what we are focused on. And we're starting off with just focusing on first and last mile, right? Low speeds, short distances, right? Because it took the average person 50 years to become comfortable with a self-driving elevator, which sounds crazy right now, right? They just wanted that elevator attendant in there to push the button and make them feel comfortable, because that's what they were used to, right? So what we
Wow.
do is we like to view our vehicle as a horizontal elevator, right? We have a safety steward or a mobile concierge inside the vehicle, right? That's there to quote unquote press the button for you, right? It's lower speeds, shorter distances. So it's something that's a lot easier for people who are a little cautious about the technology to try. And once they've tried it and they start feeling comfortable with it, then they're willing to let us solve more difficult challenges, right? But so that's one. Two, you kind of actually broached one of the components that we're really excited about helping solve is, you think about, the community that might need wheelchairs, or the elderly community, right? We don't want them stuck at home. They don't want to be stuck at home, right? But there's
Absolutely.
really no great way for them to move around cities. And so, with our vehicles, especially with the safety steward or mobile concierge on board who's trained in order to help them get onto the vehicle is fully purpose built, so it doesn't take 15 minutes to get somebody in a wheelchair on the vehicle. It only takes them 5 minutes or less to get on the vehicle, right? So now they don't feel like they're a burden to the other passengers. The whole system has to be designed with the end in mind and with the user in mind and the problems that you're solving. And so for us, we're extremely differentiated from the market and from our customer, how we solve the problem, how we make money. All of it is designed to fit our category, right? And that's the piece that a lot of people miss out, is the category is actually the problem you're solving and what a solution should look like. And everything else you do as a business should fit with that category and the people that you serve.
Yeah, and I think that trains, for example, right? In London, we have trains that they move with no people there, and what they have is this. Sometimes, well, most of the time, it has somebody there that is just for health and safety. It's only pressing the button to make sure that the doors open and close, and of course they have a key, special keys, that so they can operate it manually if they want. But most of the time, in peak times, they are more worried about the health and about the safety of the passengers getting in and out, right, than paying attention in driving the train. Yeah, in Dubai, for example, I've been there, and all those ones that go along all the way, right, with nobody, and they're full of people. So, and they drive by themselves, right? So
Absolutely.
that's early adoption that it had been done already in that space, right? Who's gonna thought that you're gonna go into a train that nobody's that is being operated by a computer, but it's actually happening. Uh, the issue that that I want to raise as you guys entrepreneurs, right? Um, you developing this product, but let's come back again to the thing. When you go to, let's say, to a local city and to present this project, yeah, and to sell it and to explain the benefits, um, it's gonna take more time, effort, energy to educate the new category, and then the people start to evaluate the risk and things like this. So, how you envision the adoption of that technology? Because I think that the first people to the first client to adopt this. It could be the local cities, the local and neighbors, and I think that and after we will expand. So how and where the vehicles where are they are produced? Where they are produced, how they have a new
Mhm.
brand, how are the vehicles, how they look like? Can you share a little bit more with us?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the vehicles, we like to joke, they look like a toaster on wheels, right? And so
Okay.
they hold up to 12 people seating and standing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the
It's
chassis
like a
size,
minibus. It's like a minibus.
yeah, kind of like a minibus, right?
It's
Don't
electric
tell our
or gas?
designer that because he doesn't like it being called a bus, but yeah, it's kind of like that. It's fully electric, right?
Ah, wow.
Absolutely. And you know, the categories of customers that we have a lot of traction in right now is pretty diverse because they have the same problem, right? It's university campuses,
Mm-hmm.
airports, large corporate campuses, cities, like you mentioned, um, counties, um, and a few others, right? Large event venues, right? Anywhere where there's a lot of traffic and congestion that can happen, or if you're trying to move people around in a semi-walkable space, but it's a little too large, right, to be fully
Mm-hmm.
walkable.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
those are the areas where we really
Airports, for
thrive.
example, airports, some
Hmm.
airports, you land and they have so many terminals, and it's too long to move from one place to another.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly. And so we're actually, I can't divulge too much, but we are working with one of the largest and busiest airports in the world.
I believe,
Um,
yeah,
and so, yeah, so we've got a lot of
a very
traction
good
coming
product for
along.
airports, and in airports now, last time I was in the airport in London, is it was a robot sweeping the floor and cleaning it. Yeah.
Yes,
So kind of tell you,
absolutely.
excuse me. So it got by itself. It was cleaning the whole thing, and you're working at that. What is the thing doing? And if they see you, they move around and it's cleaning the whole thing. It's amazing. You can see
Yeah, exactly.
the
Well, and
kid.
especially if you have new shoes on, you just walk behind that robot and you're good.
So yeah, technology is gonna change the landscape of how, especially airports and these kind of environments, right? And new solutions are coming. Now, Michael, being in the tech space and the tech entrepreneur, again, one, what do you think that is the most effective way to grow a tech business, especially, for example, this business that you have is, it sounds to me that is expensive. Sounds to me that requires a lot of, I mean, you solve a big problem, right? So
Mhm.
the bigger the problem, the bigger you need to put into the equation. And now you have to be raising funds with the new technology, with the new category, and how how you make this product attractive for the venture
Mhm.
capitalists and in the new category, and and in terms of development, right?
Mhm.
Because you guys are like a mini Tesla company. You are a car tech company, right?
Yeah.
You are a
Well,
car tech company, but even it's not even like Uber, because Uber doesn't have the car. You guys have to produce the vehicles and the thing. So one client or few clients could be very profitable, right?
mhm.
I believe that you don't need so many clients, especially when there are governments and things like this. However, to create the pilot, to test this, health and safety, whatever, all these sound very expensive to me, and especially in this new category, you need to explain that. So, how you guys will navigate the challenge?
No, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, right, alignment is purpose. I truly believe that, right? And so speaking to entrepreneurs generally, right, VC is not always the way to go, right? You have to make sure that you understand, what you want your life to look like, what type of business are you trying to build, what problem are you solving, and who is the right investor for that venture, right? For us, venture capital is the right, because we are solving a very large problem and all that stuff, right?
And you are in
The
tech.
reality is exactly, but the reality is venture capital should never write a check for anything except for category creating companies who are solving big and large problems. Why?
Wow.
Because venture capital, right, at the end of the
They
day,
want a
all
big
it is
return.
rocket fuel.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Exactly. What venture capital is it's rocket fuel, right? You're either going to blast to the moon or you're going to blow up on the launch pad, and that's the only two scenarios that they want, right? Which is category creation, right? And so, if you're able to, change the narrative, right? For us, we're not just launching a product, we're installing a new default for how the world moves. Right. And
Wow.
if our default
That
catches
sounds
on,
very
we're
powerful.
going to be a multiple. Yeah. Right. And so that is a venture capital company. Right. And VCs, this is the type of company that they write checks to. If a company is not doing that, then VCs shouldn't be writing them checks. Right. I mean, at the end of the day. Right. And so for us, right, like we know that is the ride that we're jumping on, and we're excited about it. And that speaks to us, that speaks to our risk appetite and our capabilities that we know that we can deliver on, right? However, if you're wanting to open up a restaurant or maybe even a small B2B SaaS company that you just want as a lifestyle business, you should not be going to venture capitalists asking them for money,
I
right?
agree with you.
And maybe yeah, and so it's really just dependent on what you're trying to build, and alignment is purpose. You want to make sure that everyone on your cap table, your employees, your customers, your spouse, right, your family, right, like everyone knows the direction that you're going and is on board, because friction in any of those components, to your point earlier, building a business is hard enough. You don't want friction on your cap table. You don't want friction in your household. You don't want friction, inside of your company, except for where it serves you and helps you, right? I used to joke with my wife. I'm like, look, if you want to spend less money on Instagram, right, then don't have your credit card saved, right? Create friction, right, by making you get up and go get the credit card to buy it. Because if you're going to do that, then you really want the product, right? So you create friction where to create the habits that you don't want.
The opposite way that you want to do when you're in business.
Exactly. Yeah. Friction's a tool. You want to fully remove it in areas where you want to move fast, and you want to increase the friction to slow down movement that you don't want, right? But
that's really, really powerful. Yeah, great tip. So, Mike, when it comes to innovation and creating the new category, what I know that it's exciting. I've been there. You can't wait to get up because you're building something new. You're gonna change the future. But and you guys, this type of product, doing it alone. I don't think that even the team is even small. Small. It sounds to me like you have a, a, a team there, a few people working on this, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes
fast
expensive
and growing team.
Look at this, a fast and growing team. So
I think
in
we've
order to
gone
handle
from like
the
4 or 5
finance,
people to 20 people this year. So
wow, look at this. You
Yeah.
see? So that's good. I think that somebody likes what you're doing. A few people are happy with what you're doing. So again, how you handle this challenge? Because culture, okay? When you guys, there were 5 of you, you see, you will work sweat and tears and if you know how to sleep, you don't sleep to make this work, because there are five of you, you're really in love with this thing and you're gonna change the world. But when you bring the other 15 people, they're not gonna be having the same commitment and passion that you guys have. Is so the culture, okay, that you have between five of you when you started, yeah, it has to be a little bit more loose in order to grow for this 15 and wait. When it comes to 100, it has to be more reconsidered, and to 200, right? However, um, when tech entrepreneurs, then I ask this question most of the time. You see, if you had to start all over again, what would you put a lot of attention? They always say, culture, Harry. If I knew that this thing's gonna cost me,
Yeah.
it's gonna be 100 times harder than what I thought, and it's gonna cost me 100 times than what I thought. I will pay more attention to culture from the beginning with the few people, and then with the next 15 people that I brought, and then make sure that when it goes to 50, there is no friction. Yeah, and we all align in the culture and the values, because if you bring someone that the values and cultures are not aligned themselves with the company, could be a problem. For example, in my companies, right, in my employees, I haven't here in 18 years somebody that telling me this is not my job, because when we hire them, this is part of the culture of my company, right? We like to have a team that there are not too many, only few people, and we need them proactive. We need them that they that every time it comes something new. Even this podcast, when we told our team we want to do a podcast, the team said, "What are you talking about? Don't even know what is that." I said, "Me neither." Find out. And they told me, "Harry, okay, give us 3 weeks." And then after 3 weeks, they just came and they told me, "Harry, just press the button. You have to press this button. That's it. Two buttons. Don't touch anything, and everything will go along. It will go. We put in social media. Everything will be amazing. You will be blown." However, so they figured out by themselves. I was impressed. They
That's
come
awesome.
even with a better way, and they didn't even know. Same like me. What is a podcast? I said, I don't know. I said, we don't know. Okay, here we are. We are in the same boat. So they
Mhm.
did this beautiful screens for me, or who knows how they did that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
so
it's incredible.
the whole point, Michael. So, how you deal with culture, and
Mhm.
how important in your company uh, is culture into, and especially you see it, you have heard that some companies, they have disappeared, or they have been hit very badly because toxic culture, right? Especially
Mhm.
the tech space is a male dominated environment most of the times, and we have need the diversity X, Y, and Z. So tell us a little bit, Michael, how you envision culture in order to grow sustainable, a healthy business in the tech
Absolutely.
space.
Exactly. Well, the funny thing is, everything in business is the most important thing, but especially the culture, you know? And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and so, yeah, a
Sales,
team is
marketing.
exactly, yeah, but
Yeah,
especially the culture. That's the thing, right? And we've been very, very blessed here at Mosey. We've got an unbelievable team. Everyone just cares and loves, and there's tremendous
wow,
respect. As I mentioned, we've grown from 4 or 5 people to 20 people in just this year, and we've
wow,
got more
congratulations.
offers
I'm
out, and we're
impressed.
hiring more.
I'm
But
impressed.
everyone here, yeah, it's been we're very, very close, and
So,
you
Michael,
know,
how you hiding the people?
yeah, yeah. So
Who's hiding it? Because
there's
whoever
a
is
few
doing a
things,
big
right?
job, is doing a
Yes,
great job. Whoever is bringing the people is doing a great job, because it's
absolutely.
bringing with the people aligned with the culture.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean it's a combo, right? So we're certainly hiring from our own networks. We're also, we
mhm.
do have a recruiting firm who works very closely with us. Our recruiting firm comes into our office and they experience our culture with
Very
us,
good. Very
right?
good.
And so that's
That's
something that's
amazing. A
really, really
great tip.
important to
Very
us.
good.
Yes. Yeah, that's really, really important to us. So then they're the first screen, right, of candidates whenever they're bringing people to us. And then, whenever we meet with them, quite frankly, the first thing we do is, hey, can they do the job? All right. Obviously, that's a really important thing. And then the next thing is we're really honest. Hey, there's
This is
this
what it
this
is.
place isn't for everyone, right? You could have the same person with the same skills, and person X is going to thrive, right? And person Y is not. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And we're really, really honest with that during the interview process. And we tell them, if this isn't right for you, like, let us know how we can help you find another job, right? Because we
But
want the
definitely,
right people
if it's
here.
a small company now and a startup, you cannot, I get it that when you work in a big corporate company, you say, okay, this is my job, this is what I do. I don't do anything. Yeah, in a big company, you can do that, but
That doesn't work here.
it doesn't really work. When you are in
Yeah.
the startup, it's all about proactive and getting new ideas
Yeah.
and to merge with your teammates.
Which
Like,
which which
before you
brings
were
me,
5, now you're 20, but
yeah.
you're still all together because you are only 20 and you're doing
Well,
something huge. Is if it wasn't a different product that
yeah.
sound cheaper to me, that's okay. But this thing that you're doing, of course, a big demand, and when you make it work, it's very lucrative, and all of you can be
Yeah.
very successful. But at the moment, it's you have to be in love with the thing,
Yeah. You
especially if
have
you're
to be
only
in love.
20.
Exactly. Well, and that leads me to the next thing too, right? Is everyone's always heard the cliche, you hire and fire to your values, right? But we actually we don't just do that, but we make sure that we set the tone, right? So one of our values is, run to the fire. And it doesn't matter if you're on the
Wow, I
bottom or the
like I
top,
like this
right?
value.
And our CEO lives that out, right? So you will not. It is not a uncommon thing to see him hands on the vehicles, doing things on the vehicles, leading from the front. It's everyone's visible, everyone has access to everyone, and another thing is that's really important to us is we don't care whose idea it is. We want the best idea to win, and whoever's idea it is will
100%.
get full
That's
credit, right?
amazing.
Because we got to make sure that people are incentivized, right? They're happy, they feel like they're having an
Your
impact. That's
20
the
is
thing
like
with
one. You
small
have to operate
organizations.
like one.
Yes,
You're 20.
exactly,
You need to operate like together. This is the only way that this is gonna
exactly,
work. At this
100%.
point, you can know. These are the what we call it the first movers, right?
Yeah.
And
And I know I look like I'm like 15 years old. There's a lot of gray here that you may or may not be able to see on the camera, right?
uh,
But I
you
have
look very young
I
to
do.
me.
I know, yeah. I'm encroaching 40 though, so I've had a nice really great successful career so far, and I can say this with extreme confidence. I spent over a decade at J.P. Morgan. This is the best team I've ever been a part of,
Wow,
hands down, not
I'm
even a question,
impressed.
both in terms of cohesiveness and capability. And so, that's really inspiring. We talk openly that, we're excited on Monday mornings, right? And part of it is we get to tackle hard problems, and that really speaks to us as people that are motivated, are self-motivated. And so on Monday mornings we're excited, and we're ready to dig in, and it doesn't matter what is on the agenda that day, whether we're getting our hands dirty on the vehicle, whether we get to hang out with superstars like you, Harry, or
Thank
or we
you.
or we're hanging, or we're talking to investors. It doesn't really matter what it is that we're doing. We're excited to be here, and we're excited to do what we're doing. And that type of culture, when you bring new templates, we'll say new hires into an environment like that, it's a lot of fun, and people really really jump in and dig in really really quickly. I mean, we had two new hires start yesterday, and they're already working. They're
They're
already
already
solving
rocking it,
problems,
yeah.
and so, like, they're already hands in, like, going, and it's really really exciting to see.
Michael, but how come you were so comfortable in JP Morgan? They pay you good money and you go and you work Monday to Friday and then that's it. When you finish work, you don't need to worry about anything else. And then you have your Saturday and your Sunday and you have this uh, comfortable life and you decide to throw that away to work in a startup with 5 people. Do you think
Mhm.
that that was a good idea? That anybody told you that maybe you will rethink what you're doing, and it was a large amount, a huge risk that you take.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so tell us about this process and what advice do you have for the people in corporate America right now that are looking at you and say, "Wow, I wish that I had this courage about this guy," that bend the boat and decided to bid in this new venture, which is risky, highly risky, and uh, and and it seems like gonna work. You guys are very excited, but you see, it's a chance that it
Mhm.
doesn't work, and you end up with nothing. So, what made you
Yeah,
to make this move from comfortable to being in a team that you actually driving the team and being kind of your own boss in the new venture?
Mm. I'm uncomfortable by nature. I've been doing startups since 2005.
Wow,
I'm an entrepreneur, right? And so it was actually weird for me to be at JP Morgan for 12 years. I was very successful there.
I
I had a
believe.
wonderful relationship. The company is a fantastic company. It's a financial institution, so a lot of people throw shade at it. It is a wonderful company. Jamie Dimon is an incredible leader. I had a great time there. I have great relationships, from my time there. But at the end of the day, I like to joke that I still have red on my forehead from all the red tape I would bump into. I'm an entrepreneur. I like solving problems, right? And so um, I I always mess with my wife. I'm like, my greatest success in life was convincing her to let me leave JP Morgan, right? And to leave that comfortable,
You
nice
say she
income and
seems a
all that
reasonable
stuff,
person
right?
to me, telling you to don't leave. Yeah,
Hey,
you
she's
see,
beautiful and wonderful
someone have
and the
common
greatest
sense.
person
Good.
I know. So yeah,
Someone have
I have to
common
throw that
sense
in
in the
there.
house. Yeah, you have to walk it. You have to tell her that no, no.
Yeah.
You see,
Well,
oh
and
my
it gets tough.
god,
It gets tough, right? I was up working till 2 a.m. last night, and I got to see my family for
I get
like
it.
30 minutes
Yeah.
yesterday, right? Like, so that's why I say, the family's got to be on board, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
very blessed that I have, the greatest family on the planet that lets me live out, my inspiration and my dream and my desires to solve really difficult problems in the world. But at the end of the day, right, like that's what it's about. My wife and I, we're partners, we're a team, we understand, kind of what we are doing and we have the same vision for our lives. And so it's the same as, a company, right? From that perspective, alignment is purpose, as I said before.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes it a
Yeah, you
little
have to
bit
have the
easier
alignment
in
at
tough
home
moments.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, the alignment has to be at home first. So it starts with a conversation there, before anything else, right? And then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but Michael, at the end of the day, us entrepreneurs is in our genes, is within
Hmm.
ourselves. It definitely doesn't come from family. That some of the entrepreneurs that we interview here, they have a family that have been entrepreneurs. Someone, like for example, my case, no one in my family you see is an entrepreneur. You see,
Yeah.
it was my grandfather, and he died when I was very young, and have only little stores, something. But so
Hmm.
at the end of the day, but it's within yourself, and sooner or later, this sparks and go out. So basically, you were in JP Morgan and you are very comfortable, and it's a great company, exactly as you said, because they want to attract talent. So they will do whatever it takes to keep you happy, because that's the main
Yeah.
role of this company, to keep the talent. Without the talent, there's nothing they can do, right? Um, so, but what actually happens? I'm asking you this question because we have a lot of stories in this broadcast. Even my one, you see, that I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do my thing. Every time that I was an employee, and I was thinking, I can do this better. I can do this better. I can do this better. And when I go there and say that I can do this better, they will, no, you do exactly like I say. And I'm frustrating all the time when I have my my job as a software developer. And then even when I arrived to London, I was room service in the Hilton. And
Mhm.
even doing room service in the heat, I want to do it my own way, and said no. Here we have SOP, standard operating procedure. There is a book. You read, you do exactly as it's written there, and has been written for people way smarter than me. And still, I want to do it my own way. So I'm confronting this in my life as an employee, which has been very short actually. Um, but so then, what? And then my dad got sick. I'm short of money, and he had cancer. Have an operation. I'm in London. He's in Spain. I don't even have money to go and see him. And I decided, okay, this is not working for me anymore. And then
Yeah.
somebody told me property is a good vehicle. So I took the book of Roy Kiyosaki. I went to the bank. I reached that, put that. I read it. I went to the bank in the morning. I lent 3,000 pounds. They didn't let me more because I was making 575 in the pub when I was working
Hmm.
before the hit. And then we managed to build a business which is all over 5 millions doing the rent to rent the property business. But it was
That's awesome.
that got sick or whatever that made me take the decision. So in your case, it was something spontaneous or something happened in your life, in your personal life, that you said, you know what, um, I deserve the chance and I'm gonna go for it. Tell us about this process.
Yeah. First things first, I hope that your dad's doing better.
Yeah, yeah,
I
whoa,
hope he's
he's
doing okay.
amazing, amazing.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
yeah,
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah.
Um,
Managed to save
for,
the
for
lives twice now.
Wow, that's amazing. So
Yeah,
glad to hear that he's a fighter. That must be where you got it from. But
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for me, it was a combination of things, right? For one, I'd spent 12 years there at JP Morgan. I wasn't learning anything anymore, right? I actually had people who had been there for much longer than I had, calling me, asking me for my advice and what I would do, and for peers, and I was just like, I'm not learning anymore, and so now I'm going to get frustrated, right? And that has nothing to do with the job or the people. It's me, right?
Yeah, you felt
I
that
like to
you
learn.
were not growing.
I wasn't growing anymore, and so that's one, right? Two, I've always felt like, for me, my own personal, mission in life was, I never wanted to tell my kids no because I couldn't do something. I always wanted to be the guy that told his kids no because I was trying to teach them something, right? And yeah, I can make a lot of money at JP Morgan, but it's not going to put me in that position, right? They pay you a lot and just enough that you can't leave, right? But not enough so that they keep you going, right? And so the only way I was ever really going to do that is if I was going to make a meaningful impact on the world, right?
Oh
And
wow.
and so that was another thing that was kind of looming in the back of my head. And then, when the right opportunity comes along, when the right people come along, you get alignment in the household and outside the household. At some point, a decision has to be made. And, somebody who's not an entrepreneur, somebody that's, it's not in their DNA, they should not make that jump, right? It's just far too difficult. It's too lonely, right? As much as you can have alignment in your household, right? Unless they're an entrepreneur too, they just don't know what it's like to go through that. Just like I don't know what it's like to be a mom, even though I'm a father, right? And so at the end of the day, right? Like it has to be in your DNA, and you'll get to a decision point, and then you just have to make the decision, and at some point, right? Like that's what it boils down to. And for me, it was the right time, it was the right decision, and I do not regret it. Not even one iota of 1%. So it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
So, what message do you have for people working in corporate that they are in this golden cage,
Mhm.
and they want to make this transition, but they have that fear within themselves,
Yeah.
and sometimes they never do it.
Yeah. I think what it boils down to, right, is it's it's somebody's SOP, right? Either you're listening to somebody else's SOP, right, or you're writing your own. And now then there's a secondary question, right? What is your risk appetite? Okay. If your risk appetite is low, then stay there, work your way up, and then rewrite the SOPs at the large company, right? If your risk appetite's high, then leave, go write your own SOP and make it a larger impact, right? And you can be successful either way, right? At the end of the day, you have to pick the correct route for you, right? And ultimately at the end of the day, right? Like that's what the decision point boils down to me, right?
Thank you so much, Mike. So, Mike, if people are in love with the conversation, want to find out about more about what you guys are doing, how people can find you, how this process works?
Yeah, you can find us, first of all, Instagram, Mosey Official. I think it's Mosey_official. And you can find us there, follow us, you can send us messages if you're interested, right? Also on LinkedIn, right? You can find us on there. You can find me on there, Michael Kelly, right, at Mosey. Yeah, I would love to engage with anybody who wants to have a deeper conversation.
That's fantastic, Michael. And with that note, see you guys in our next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneur like Michael break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.